CEOs taking private planes around. A lot of the emissions that are done by the banking system is way more egregious than Bitcoin itself. So whenever you hear that energy debate, where you have people writing articles about it, at this point, you should see it as what it is. It is purely FUD. And we even showed this weekend, we showed the article from 2017 that was talking about Bitcoin may not be good for the environment. So this is pretty much old FUD recycled. And we basically debunked that today. Shout out to Galaxy Digital for their research. And our last big story of the day was Vitalik burning $6 billion worth of Shiba in order to basically say, he said he didn't want the power. He gave 10% of it away to his charity of choice. And hopefully they sell it before it drops down any lower, because it is sort of in a nosedive. But he did burn $6 billion worth of Shiba tokens, basically quoting his generosity. We argued that he's just trying to lower his tax liability because most billionaires don't really do things because they like it. They do it because they have to. So those are our big news stories for today. And again, the Gentlemen of Crypto, we're on live Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. On YouTube. You can download our podcast on Spotify. We actually just reached top 15 tech podcasts in the world. And you can listen here on Clubhouse as well.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much for that, Bitcoin Day, man. We know you on the beautiful, lovely vacation with the fam, man, but you came through and held it down, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, let's talk about some of these news stories.
Yes, please.
Like he said, yes, please. So for me, man, the whole Elon Musk thing, like I love having fun with it because it does bring a lot of attention, right? It gets us talking about it. But for me, the whole Elon Musk thing is the reason why I got into Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin provides freedom outside of all of this manipulation from highly successful, rich people, right? Bitcoin doesn't need any of these people. Bitcoin doesn't need the banks. It don't need any of this. Like Bitcoin is freedom. Bitcoin is outside of the manipulation of that money policy, right? Monetary policy. Bitcoin is outside of the manipulation of of some oligarch, right? And when I say that, people are like, well, Lamar, he manipulated the price. I'm not worried about what the fiat value is of Bitcoin. 1 Bitcoin equals 1 Bitcoin. What 1 Bitcoin represents to me is freedom. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's a completely different thing. When you start thinking about it like that, you will start realizing how much power we have in and of ourselves. Because this dude named Elon, man, he's going to do that. So what do y'all think about what Elon is doing? Does it matter? Is it that big of a deal? What do y'all think about it?
Let me just insert too that while we're talking about Elon and his price, Taproot activation is up to 90%. So Bitcoin, it keeps moving with or without him. And I think people need to realize that for the first time, you have the same opportunity as billionaires do, because nobody can change the rules of Bitcoin. And that's very, very important. People think that a lot of people get rich and stay rich just because they're good at what they do. No, they get manipulation into the market. They get politicians on their side. They can change the rules as they go. That's how they stay rich long term. But now that they can't do that, it seems as though you're getting a little crybaby-ish. And we actually had one of our shows was called "It Smells Like Bitch in Here," because it smells like Elon is crying because he can't control Bitcoin, so he wants to control Dogecoin.
No, that's real.
I think that's exactly it. Oh, I'm sorry, Justin. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Go ahead, Miss Charlene. I'm good.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's exactly it. Like Elon has spent his life being a puppet master, right? That's what he enjoys. You know, I think he gets a lot of pleasure out of it, you know, exerting his influence everywhere. And I think he's a little bit bitter that he wasn't able to do exactly what he wanted to do, control it. And so now, you know, he's taking his ball and he's going home. And we've seen this behavior. We saw that behavior with a certain president that we had for the last 4 years. You know, they love the power. It's quite an ego trip for them. And I just think that the people that really believe in Bitcoin are rolling their eyes and taking advantage of this sale and buying more Bitcoin. It's noise in the system, but I think if there's anything, it's good for the Black community because you can buy Bitcoin on sale. And so that is what we should be paying attention to. We should ignore his whining. And again, just because someone has been successful in one area, it doesn't make them the authority on something else. And we've got to resist the urge to elevate these celebrities and CEOs to be the authority, and they're just not. They just have a lot of influence, and they're going to use that influence in a way that serves them and only them. And we just have to be real skeptical about people that are coming out, switching positions, and not necessarily taking actions to support those positions. He was hinting towards selling Bitcoin, but I didn't see him sell any Bitcoin, and that's all I got to say about that.
I think kind of what like Ms. Charlene said. You can when you had this with people like folks who've always, well, let me say this. First of all, it doesn't matter. All right, it doesn't matter what Elon says or does. Hell, matter of fact, it don't really matter what any of us do either. But with someone like Elon, it's like how Charlene said. They get upset when they're not able to control the narrative, and he's also realizing that Bitcoiners really don't give a damn about what you think. And you can see this happen on small levels. Like if you ever been in a conversation with someone who's, they're successful in their area or field, and you come in and talk about Bitcoin, and they talk the way they always do to try and manipulate people and believe in what they want, and you don't go for it, they will feel like, oh, you're stupid, or you're this, that, and the third. That's how he's feeling, because he at first he was cool, but he sees that we don't give a damn about you, and that can really deter somebody who has a lot of ego in place. But at the same token, I don't know what he's doing. Like, he's played Puppet Master forever, so in that same regard, I would never pay too much attention to what he does because, again, it really wouldn't matter in terms of Bitcoin.
Hey, Justin, when you say puppet master, it's funny because he's the puppet. He actually has people controlling him. He's getting government subsidies, so he has to speak out on behalf of politicians and people that think that billionaires don't have a boss. Now you see they have a boss just like everybody else. So if he wants those government subsidies, he better come out and say something against Bitcoin and the environment. And it's a coordinated attack. It's very obvious what's happening. And again, Galaxy Digital just put out this report. This and everything that everybody has said about the energy consumption. So again, he's like Charlene said, he wants to take his ball and go.
It's like when Ian down there, he said I was sinister on Twitter, and you can always tell when the FUD comes in, the price of Bitcoin goes down. You need more news like this just gonna come out. This is just a cycle. Like they always said, it's a cycle. It's a market cycle. It's a news cycle. It's all a cycle. There's gonna come out one article that's gonna be fighting the fact and price of Bitcoin go back up.
Yeah, I think we also have to keep in mind that traders are using Elon as like a market indicator, a buy-sell market indicator, like a lazy way. So more experienced traders is going to come to a point where Elon, he'll say something that's favorable to, let's say, Dogecoin or Bitcoin, and they're actually going to do the opposite play. Right. So keep in mind, for those people who are just watching Elon's every word, like people are going to get privy. People learn the tactics and say, OK, now he said this is favorable or this is a buy opportunity. Then it's going to be a massive wave, a sell. That's how the market psychology develops over time. So I wouldn't just put my true faith in Elon and whatever he's going to say, because people are going to get privy to this and start doing the opposite move.
Yeah, if you PTR real quick, you can see on my profile picture, that's where we are in this cycle. First sell-off. We are near the real run, I think.
Yeah, here's the crazy thing. So here's my theory, right? I've been around, they've been around, some of us been around for a long time. We've seen Bitcoin go through all types of FUD. And I believe that we're moving up in the boss levels because someone like Jamie Dimon, he used to be able to sway the markets. Now Jamie Dimon, no matter what he says, he ain't moving the markets no more. Why? Because he's not hugely popular. I think Elon Musk is up there at the higher levels. We used to play this game called Kung Fu back in the day on Nintendo. I think he's getting close up at a level 10. Like, he is very popular. He's very rich. And what we're going to see is Bitcoin's going to beat this boss as well. His boss level is about done because Elon, if with all that he's done, the market came down. But we all know that just based on the technology and the fact that there will only ever be 21 million and that the demand around the world will go up because the fiat currency that these governments continue to keep printing, we're going to see this boss level get beat too, and then Elon's words won't mean as much. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is just another boss level to me. Like, we've seen this a whole bunch of times. People keep losing their actual influence over Bitcoin because they come out and speak against it, and he's going hard right now.
Yo, that is such a good point, Lamar, man. That is pretty much a reminder to not pay attention to the celebrity voices, but to pay attention to the technology itself. That's all that it is. And that is a great point.
Hey, he just, as far as I'm concerned, he just joined the rest of the Bitcoin castaways, man.
Castaways.
He a castaway, man. He a pretender, and he just exposed himself. We call it good.
You are the weakest link.
I see that bear trap photo, Isaiah. That's exactly it.
Exactly, yeah. If you look at my picture, I'm telling you, this is the bear trap that happened in 2017 when Jamie Dimon said something at a Davos event, I think, and the price went from 5K to 3K really quick. I think that's what we're doing. I think that's what's happening right now. Same thing with Elon. And then when we bounced back, we ended up at 20K at the end of the year. So,
right. And we destroy. And here's the thing: we destroyed Jamie Dimon to the point that now Jamie Dimon is trying to offer Bitcoin to his wealthiest people. You understand what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yeah, we are in a weird space right now. We were talking about that. Let's talk about some of this because I want to move from Elon so much. Let's move on to my man, Vitalik selling off all that Shiba Inu. Now we understand why he did it, right? We get why he did it because that's a taxable event for him. If they sending him $1 billion worth of any asset. Listen, everybody knows it. Everybody can see it. The IRS can see it. So he had to figure out a way to clean that up. But what's crazy is that these meme tokens, what do y'all think about this whole meme generation of cryptocurrency right now? I think it's funny, to be honest with you, because like I said, the ICO craze, at least people were trying to be professional and put out marketing things and all of this other stuff and try to say this is what the coin was going to do. But now we just in a meme coin. What do y'all think about that? And what do y'all think about the implications of somebody like Vitalik just dumping on everybody's head?
It's a casino, man. Slot machine. That's really what it is. It's designed to take your money and, maybe make a few people, wealthy, but we'll see. But that's really what it is, man. People are buying into these coins. And they don't have a use case. They don't have anything that they do in particular. They don't make the world better, no kind of way. So, people are gonna learn fast. That a fool and his money shall soon be parted. So, most people survive it.
At least in a casino, though, you're playing games that have rules and or they're based purely off chance and randomness. With all these meme coins and stuff, you just got people. It's almost predatory in nature, the way they create them and spike the markets only to dump on everybody. So I think this is everybody getting exactly what they deserve with Vitalik dumping on their heads.
And again, Josh, just like the casino, you know what I'm saying? You put money in, you lose it. You got stuff around you to cheer you up. You could buy some drinks. You could look at some ladies, look at some lights, play some games. You lose your money to these meme coins. You're in a dark room crying somewhere. You're by yourself.
Gotta walk upstairs out of mom's basement.
Realize you ain't getting out of there no time soon.
Nope.
Gotta ask her for 6 more months.
She's not gonna marry you.
You gotta have a family meeting.
Hey, it's a dirty game, man. I compare it to like the scam genre of the ICOs back in 17, right? So you had like BitConnect, and then you had all these phony ICOs that came after that to like mimic that. And like all it is like a bunch of people just dump money into those, thinking they're gonna be the next, that next thing. And it just dilutes and dilutes and dilutes. Like that, it's only so much money can stretch so far, because like it's only a certain type of people invested in those type of things. So that money is just constantly thinning out over all these different coins. And, people will be left in the dark eventually, whether it's now or if it's when that bear market hits and, those things lose like thousands of percent in value, over time. So, yeah, it's a dirty game that you definitely don't want to get caught in.
Man, I don't even, what's up, y'all? I don't even compare it to 2017 because at least many of these coins, they were trying to be legit, right? In terms of on the surface, they were trying to say, we have a purpose, we have a plan, we're going to do this. These meme coins is just like, yo, we are the next thing for us momentum. Come dump your money here. Let's cross off some zeros and let's make memes about the Grim Reaper and whatever coin that it is, right? Like they're not even claiming to have any legitimate purpose outside of just being funny and trying to capitalize off of community, right? Like that's just it to me. So I just think it's one of those other things that, like many of you all have mentioned, it's just another money grab. Many of these packets are becoming enriched, and they're just playing off of people's emotions and greed, right? Like that's all it is. There's a whole bunch of greed in the system that we're seeing. But people are greedy for something that is eventually still has no value, right? No intrinsic value. It's just that as long as they're able to make money, then they feel like it has meaning. But that's definitely not the case. So we'll see. I mean, people's mindset will eventually shift, especially if we go into a bear market in the next, 2 or 3 years or so. Those memes won't last. They won't be around. And I hope not too many people are getting in them. Definitely not when they cross a couple pennies, because your risk to reward ratio goes really, really, really to the downside. This is Ryan. I'm done speaking.
I want to say, it's kind of, Zay put out a post on Twitter the other day saying that he's seen Telegram groups where they have a mean, lucrative plan on how they pump and dump these coins. These are the type of folks who sit at, the top of all your little scamming look-alike things that come in crypto. So a meme coin fits the bill. So basically what I'm saying is people who don't know what they're dealing with, they think they're geniuses and gurus, you're falling for an even worse master plan. Like these people have this laid out and ready for people like you. They're playing off of your emotional greed, and it's just another thing that's gonna happen. Meme coins, ICOs. This is just like 2017. Just it's not even nowhere near it, to be honest with you. But these little flickers, they present themselves. Meme coins, Elon FUD, richest guy in the room FUD. I mean, it's all the same thing, but again, it's just a money grab, and people are going to have to learn the hard way, and it might take them years to do so.
Yeah, I mean, when I think of the meme coins, I just hope that people that have these meme coins recognize that more people are going to get wrecked than not, right? Like most people are going to lose because they came in too late or they don't know when to exit. I've been in some of these meme coin rooms and a lot of people are like, hooray, I'm up 10 times, I'm up 20 times, but there's clearly no exit strategy. And then the greed comes in and they're going to hold until that meme goes all the way down to zero. And so if you have a meme coin, please figure out when you're going to exit, because many of these coins have, the fundamentals, they look like a house of cards. There's no reason for them to go up in value other than a tweet from a celebrity. And so that just means that you're holding a ticking time bomb. I get really, really concerned because I think that, most people who cannot afford to lose are in meme coins and then they lose. And we've heard stories of folks putting their 401k plans into meme coins. And that is just, that's really sad and heartbreaking. And so, if you don't have a lot of money, bet on the layup, which is Bitcoin. I know meme coin sounds interesting, but good grief, the risks are just so high. And if you don't have an exit and you don't understand, you're not doing TA or technical analysis, you don't know what you're doing, it's just such an easier play to stick with Bitcoin. And then you don't have to deal with the risk and the headache. This is Charlene, and I'm done.
You know what's so funny? There's a couple phenomenons that are happening right now. The fear of missing out, of course. We know that's happening. And here's the other thing. Many of you guys are looking at your cousin Earl, who's telling you he made $100,000. And here's the problem. Because cousin Earl already made $100,000 means you're probably too late. The fact that you see all of these people, like to Miss Charlene's point, the fact you see all of these people saying how much they've made and the gains they've been able to make, that's because they were in way earlier than this current run. Anybody who's jumping in at the tops, like anybody who bought Dogecoin at 45 cents, right? They're only up a few percent because it went to 50 and kind of stopped and halted there. And it went to 73, but most people are like, well, it's going to go to $1 and then it dropped back down again. So that's the part that we have to understand. And here's the other crazy part is that when the bear market happens or when a massive quote unquote correction, y'all know I don't like that word. When a massive correction happens, what's going to happen is all of those coins are going to roll into Bitcoin. The people who still want to be in the market, they just going to roll into Bitcoin. All of those coins, they're going to get out of these coins positions and they're going to roll into Bitcoin. And what that winds up doing is creating new Bitcoin holders that now they want Bitcoin to go up, right? That's what happens over and over and over again. And that's how Bitcoin continues to get stronger over these years. The ICOs dumped out, the whatever coins, whatever extra things that are out there. Like you can already see the slowdown in the NFT space. Like the NFT space was just like this hot and now it's slowing down. We're seeing these things happening in real time. And what winds up happening is that people who still want to be in the market, they'll start to educate themselves. And as they educate themselves, they'll start to learn that the best place to be is Bitcoin. So then they'll take their coins, put them into Bitcoin on the way down, right? And then what happens, Bitcoin does what Bitcoin does. It starts taking back off. And then they're in Bitcoin. And now all of these people who are cheering for all of these coins, Shibu, Super Safe, Moon, or whatever they are. All these people who were cheering, all those people that was cheering for them now become Bitcoin holders, and they wind up being the ones that provide the strength as hodlers at the bottom that then takes us to the next top on the cycle when the halving comes. Like it happens over and over again. Am I right about that, Zay?
Yep. The ICO craze of 2017 dumped a lot of money into shit projects, which then rolled into Bitcoin when it went from 6 to 20K. We've seen it before, and then the ICO market was done in 3 months. So I think we'll see the same thing this year. It's just more liquidity, which I think will push Bitcoin past 100K. So, yes, I think you're exactly right. Because when people are buying shit like Come Rocket and Shiba and all this stuff, I mean, it's literally just them waiting. Like I always say, all roads lead to Bitcoin.
I have to agree with Lamar and Isaiah. Good morning. This is Granny Crypto. And I would like to say, ouch, Lamar, you stepped on my toes. Back in 2017, I was definitely one of those people who got caught up in the ICO craze and picking those coins that ended up disappearing or losing the value tremendously. And I held on too long. I did not have an exit strategy like Charlene mentioned, and I ended up losing my shirt. So guys, what we're doing here in the Genesis block is trying to trying to discuss with you what has happened with us so you don't end up in the same position. But I thank God in that I held on to my Bitcoin after foolishly selling off some Bitcoin and Ethereum to buy those ICO coins that vanished or reduced in value significantly. If I had only been educated and knew to hold on to my Bitcoin no matter what, I would be in a far better position. Just before I lost my Bitcoin in my luggage a couple of weeks ago. So if you don't hear anything else, please remember, do not get in those altcoins. But if you do, you need an exit strategy. And if you do not, you will end up losing, and you will buy into Bitcoin, hopefully, when it does a correction. And then you will have to start over and hold a long time for the bull run to get your shirt back on your back, which is exactly what happened to me. I'm Granny Crypto, and I'm finished speaking.
Yep. One of my mentors, man, he would tell me, the bull run will be fun, but it won't be easy. And it ain't no doubt about it, man, because when you experience these type pullbacks, Those right there don't make it easy. But remember, we can still buy more. So pile in the Bitcoin, man. I'm telling you, it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Hey, if you need a reminder, go ahead.
But I was gonna say, but it's also a good opportunity to talk to the people that are in those altcoins. They're making money with Shiba. They're making money with this coin, and to kind of educate them too. Just like, okay, you got lucky or whatever. You were smart. Um, Now, how are you going to protect these gains? Like, you don't want to put it back in fiat. Let me show you what Bitcoin really is. Let's put your money, all that stuff that you gain. Let's bring it over here to Bitcoin. So it's a great education moment to tell people the benefits of asset protection, man.
To be honest, I mean, I feel you on that, brother Corey. But the learning experiences now, like them getting wrecked, them going to hell, because it's just going to sound like another conversation. Us being like, "Hey man, now it's time to come to Bitcoin." Like, nah, let the fools go all the way down with their coin. Because if you start talking to them, man, but I got hope, man. I'm just going to hodl. There is no hodling in crypto. Have you ever tried to talk sense to these people while this is going on? It don't pan out too well. So this is their learning experience. Watching that shit coin go all the way down, their money go with it, and then they're going to be thinking about you probably 6 months from now and say, "Corey, bro, you know I was right, man. I should have did this in 2020, but now here I am." You gotta let these folks burn, man. You gotta let them burn. That's because talking to them is gonna make it seem like you're trying to sell them all over again. So let them burn with it.
Yeah, you trying to educate them now. You hating on them, bro. That's the
That's true. That's so
You
true.
got to get them when they bragging. You got to get
they
them
a
when they
genius
bragging.
investor and you hating on them. You know what I'm saying?
Just a quick aside to that. We talking about 2017. I want to remind some people. Number 4 market cap in 2017 today was NEM. NEM. Anybody remember that? Ethereum Classic. Ethereum Classic. Hold on. Let me finish. Ethereum Classic was number 6. Bitcoin was number 8. Steam, Sia Coin, Golem, BitShares, Gnosis, Stratus. Anybody who's been in this space a long time knows what I'm talking about. Made Safe Coin. I'm sure people still got bags they hold. And this is from 2017. Coins that people still have to hold to this day because they couldn't get out early enough. So just remember that. Man. We're not trying to hate on you. We're just telling you from experience. Most of these coins will not survive the next 5 years.
Every bull run.
Zay, which position was Bitcoin in though?
Bitcoin in 2017 was $2,000. Number one.
What position?
Number one.
It was 2021.
2021 still number one.
Okay.
And again, people can argue all they want, but there's a reason why it's still number one. And for those who think that Ethereum may flip it at some point, there are 0 altcoins in the market that have regained their Bitcoin value. They may have gained in USD, but they have not gained in Bitcoin. If Ethereum got back to its Bitcoin value, Ethereum should be around $11,000 right now, which is not. Again, 0 altcoins have got back to the Bitcoin value. So when you're talking about flipping cryptos and trying to get Lambos and all that shit, most likely not going to happen for you.
Zay, I'm going to have to push back on that. There is one, right? But it is an anomaly.
There's a few, but it's very few.
Dogecoin definitely did, but that's an anomaly because that is completely controlled by the mouth of Elon Musk. Like, you don't want, listen, let me explain something to y'all. You do not want your money to be attached to somebody's mouth. You understand what I'm saying? Because anything could come out of their mouth. Like, at the drop of a dime, he might switch the whole thing up and be like, well, I thought Doge was going to be it, but I did my research and Bitcoin is king. If that happened, what would happen to all of you all that are thinking that you took your 401k and you put it in the Doge? Like, you don't want it to be, you want it to be based on mathematics. You want it to be based on like something more, the code, right? You want it to be based on something more than somebody being able to just completely manipulate it. That's what you want.
Elon is the fundamentals and the TA for Dogecoin.
Listen, man, Dogecoin needed the richest man in the world just to still get to where it is today. Like, and sometimes people let me place all my bets on being the less than 1% to do something. Like, this is Doge's last chance, and once it runs, it just won't run again, man. Zay, I remember I made that report for y'all like 4 years ago, and those coins on there are all dead. All of them joints are just dead. So people got lucky with Doge. I'm happy, but you don't want to
continuously place your bets on something that's like a phenomenon never happen again.
That's a fact.
And once again, I feel sorry for that dog, man. Like, that dog didn't sign up for all this. Like, he was just trying to take a cute picture with his owner. You know what I'm saying? Next thing you know, he's a meme for a meme coin. This dude is going to the moon. He don't understand what's going on. He's in astronaut suits. Like, he didn't sign up for all that.
Too funny, Corey. One quick thing to note too, right? And what Lamar was speaking about is that we have to be mindful of when people are shilling coins to you that have no intrinsic value, right? Just because somebody made money does not mean that it has meaning, right? And just because people are using different platforms does not mean that they are best for you. How can you say that, Ryan? Well, a perfect example from people from the hood that know, right? People, it's a lot of money that's made in trap houses, but that doesn't mean that people are staying there. They're not trying to raise a family there. They're not trying to burn all of their gold and everything else, right? It has a specific purpose for a specific people that are trying to do specific things. So don't think that those people are now about to put a gold-plated roof on it. They about to put bars and doors and have a gold seat. That ain't what it's used for, right? So don't be, jaded or have your blinders on to Bitcoin while you're up here gleaming over something that is glittering that's definitely not gold, right? And just also think too, ask those people, when did they get in? Because if they're having you buy when something is nearest top, or only thing that they can say is I hope, maybe for every cent that this coin moves, they're making 200% or at least 100%. You need this coin to move 50 cents, a dollar, how much ever more, right? And what's the likelihood of that actually happening, especially with its inflation rate, right? So you also have to think about that. Bitcoin is deflationary. So even if the demand stayed the same when you got in, from a supply and demand perspective, you can anticipate over time price to rise. Anything that is inflationary over time, you can anticipate for its price or value to decline. So which system would you rather be in? The same one that you have now, where your spending power and your value is diminishing, or would you just like to do it in a digital world? I mean, what point is really trying to be made, right? So short-term gains can definitely be made. A lot of these meme coins and all the X project, just think, what are you really accumulating? Like, those are not the projects to necessarily hodl. You can't be holding on to dear life for something that is automatically going down, right? And you signed up for the elevator that's typically supposed to go all the way down. Just because somebody pushed the button for it to go back up a little bit, that doesn't mean that it has anything for you long term. This is Ryan. I'm done speaking.
Like Lamar said, once cousin Earl start talking about it, it's time to get out.
Too late, man.
He comes to you talking about, hey man, you better get you a pager. You better get you a pager, man. I got me one of those internet things. You better get his internet.
Because here's the thing. The only reason why you upset that Uncle Earl's talking about it, because you always thought Uncle Earl was stupid. That's the problem. Your own ego got you caught up trying to figure out how you going to catch up with Uncle Earl. Man, let Uncle Earl live his life. He got that one Bluetooth headphone. You know what I'm saying? He's still riding on Vols. It's cool. Let Uncle Earl live his life. He got that curl with that shag curl. Like, let him live his life, man. He's going to make it. He already made it. He lucked up. He got it. It's no different than Uncle Earl hitting the lottery. No different. Like, how many people go out there and then go dump a whole bunch of money in the lottery just because Uncle Earl did it? Do you feel what I'm saying? That's the part we got to understand, man. Like, we in a weird space right now, and it's very difficult to talk to people because they're like, Lamar, you told me get this Bitcoin and it was at 55, it was at 60, and it's going down. And it's like, but if you listen to what all of us have been saying, if I didn't tell you to get in, number one, but if you want to get in it, make sure you do something called dollar cost averaging. Dollar cost averaging is where you take a little bit of money, take some money that you can afford to lose, especially when you first starting out, something that you're not going to ever touch. Because that's the biggest issue. If you putting your rent money in, yeah, when it goes down, you're going to start feeling the crunch. Your booty hole going to get tight. Like, it's just how it is, right? But if you putting money in that you can afford to lose, that's just not for anything outside of just savings, or it might be your cigarette money that you're trying to quit, smoking cigarettes, then that money right there, you can sit into Bitcoin and let it sit and continue to accumulate. If you're going to do it, understand at times like these, people like Bitcoin Vegan get hype about it. He loves the price going down. Bitcoin Vegan's trying to get the price down to 35,000, ain't you, Vegan?
Listen, we're trying to get it down to 30 if we can, bro. But 30.
I'm about to say he want 28K. He might want even 20K. He said, take it back to the 2017.
Listen, man, if we can get this thing 20, I'd be happy. I'd be so obliged by this. I mean, this is just great. This is great.
I mean, from a technical perspective, I would be concerned. I'm not even gonna hold y'all, but from an investor perspective,
what?
I mean, it don't matter.
Concern, right?
I mean, from a technical perspective, right? Once we break below the 20-week moving average, then we really are in that bear territory, right? And that has signaled a point whereas it takes a lot more energy in the system for us to break above it, right? We typically stay below that for weeks, months, almost a year.
Ryan, you sound like somebody who wants some fiat. But you sound like somebody who wants fiat, bro.
Brian is not done speaking.
I would be concerned. Thank you. That is a point. From a technical perspective, I would be concerned. As an investor, I don't care what price Bitcoin drops back down to. Like Justin and I said a couple weeks ago or last week, let that thing fall. I'm still loading my bags. Like, no problem at all. But from a technical perspective, I would be a little bit concerned to say, how long can we stay here? But that's better for me as an investor because it gives me way more time to buy even more at the dip. Buy the dip. That's all I got. And that's not financial advice or anything like that. Y'all just, stay the course. That's all I can say. Stay the course.
And as a trader, I'll say this. I'm trading the dip. So, I'm making money on the way down. So it's all good.
Yeah. Scout that position. I know. I definitely scout from 50.
Right. Go ahead. I'm going to push back on you because you over here talking about this fiat value and from a technical perspective. Do you understand, Ryan, that if it went down to 20,000, 15,000, that man over there, Bitcoin Vegan, he gonna pass out. He won't be on the. He for real. He gonna be doing everything he can to trade his fiat for. You understand what I'm saying? So even from a technical perspective, if we look out over a time horizon that is far greater than us just zooming in and saying that these prices are moving in the short term. We got to understand, we got to start teaching people how to have a high time preference. I mean, a low time preference, excuse me. A low time preference.
I'm selling a body part if we get to 20,000.
What'd you say, Zay?
I said, I'm selling a body part if we get down to 20,000.
Yo, this is definitely deja vu-ish. This conversation definitely played out before, right? When I say technicals, I'm talking about from a chart perspective, not from a Bitcoin code perspective or anything like that, right? So it's just one of those things that it would be like, all right, cool. We're going to potentially be here in this space or in this downtrend for a while. No problem as an investor. But for someone that is like hoping, quote unquote, right? And they may be trying to leverage trade and do all that other stuff like that. They will definitely get wrecked because they won't be playing the levels. They'll just automatically think we're heading back up. And that chart wise has not been the case. So, it's just a little information for people to think about. But as an investor, like I said, I don't care. Shoot, take us back to 10K. That'll be happy for me.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about, goddamn. That'll make a million Satoshis $300 again.
Yo, $100. Come on. Yeah. Like I said, go ahead, Justin.
No, here's what's so crazy, right? So I'm just messing with Ryan. Everybody out there, man. Everybody knows I mess with TA people. Technical analysis people, I always mess with them. They use chicken bones and goat's toes and all that kind of stuff to try to figure out the charts.
Bones. Jakumi, you gonna take that? Jakumi, you gonna let Lamar tell that?
Hey, I say it to Jakumi all the time, man. Jakumi over here calling Creole, all that, man. But here's the thing, though, right? When you have a low time preference, you're not worrying about any short-term price movements. You're looking out over 5 to 10 years of your life, right? See, we need to start thinking about this thing in the same way that we choose our spouses. You're not looking at this woman who looks hot in the club and is dancing good, and then you know that's the one you gonna marry just because she looks hot in the club. You trying to understand her mind. You trying to understand her character. You understand what I'm saying? That's when you have a low time preference. When you ain't trying to just get something for today, you trying to get something for tomorrow. You understand? That's what we have to get our mindset thinking on, man. Like right now, that's why we do the Genesis block. That's what Black Bitcoin Billionaires is all about. When me and my man Zay came together to form this thing, that's what we were talking about. We trying to make sure that the people understand that if we're going to be in an asset that's going to change for us to have greater generational wealth in the future, we got to change our time preference from high to low. You got to stop looking at your Cash App every 2 days and hit me up saying, Lamar, it went down $3. Man, I'm down $4. You got to stop hitting me up. You got to stop hitting Jakumi up saying, man, that 20 looked like 17. Come on, man. Like, chill. You know what I mean? Because if we can get to that point, that's what everybody on the stage knows. That's what happens. If we can get to the point where we start looking out into the future and realize that what we are accumulating now, there will not be more than 21 million ever. And that every little Satoshi that you get, every single piece that you get, is adding to the accumulation of us all being able to form more and more generational wealth in the future. Because you're already seeing Elon Musk, he took the markets down just a little bit with his talking, but it is already bouncing. Like it's not falling. You get what I'm saying? Like it's gonna take some more. And you see the FUD trying to pile on. Here comes everybody who wants Bitcoin to fall. They try to pile the FUD on, and it doesn't matter because Bitcoin Vegan's gonna keep it up himself by selling burritos if he has to.
You already know we selling everything, man. Everything must go.
Right.
I'm gonna use your analogy, Lamar, as a pickup line next time. Like, you know what? I'm looking for somebody that loves me and depreciates in value over time. Is that you, baby?
But it don't depreciate in value. That's our Bitcoin, right? That's the problem. The Bitcoin actually appreciates in value because what you got in the club is going to depreciate. So you're gonna start noticing. Everybody knows the fling. Everybody knows the fling depreciates over time. You know what I'm saying?
Bro.
I know what word I use. And I'm still
2 hours.
for somebody.
Zay said about 2 hours.
Yeah, for that value to depreciate.
You know she get on your nerves. Some of y'all women out there got baby daddies that was flings, and y'all talking about them. You the one chose them. You chose that baby daddy. That same thing with these altcoins. You can't sit here and talk about the altcoin when you lose it, and you the one that chose it. You got
to the moon, baby.
Yeah, to the moon. That's what these altcoins are saying. To the moon, baby. And next thing you know, you stuck with this altcoin for the next 6, 7, 8 months. You understand what I'm saying? Like we gotta stop fooling around and understand that a low time preference is what we need to move for. Because we are so used to high time preference. That's the problem.
My name's Shiba Inu, baby. Come here, let me talk to you. Yeah.
Yeah, baby.
We're gonna get you paid, baby.
Boo to all of this. Let's be clear. There are short-term men as well. Mm-hmm.
No, that's what I was saying. That's what I just said.
That's exactly what we're talking about.
I literally just said. That's what we just said.
What was that?
I
That's what we
just
just
make
said.
sure there was some balance in this conversation here.
No, we just said it.
Shiba Inu was the temporary.
Shiba Inu,
that's
that
the
baby
sweet talker.
Right, that's that baby daddy.
You want to hear?
Yeah, that's that baby. That's that baby daddy that you over talking about on Facebook all the time.
Listen, don't get me in trouble, Lamar.
Charlene, we can't help that it's called Sheba. We didn't name it.
I know.
I'm just saying the whole thing is, y'all, from the analogy perspective, all I'm saying is that we gotta learn how to have a low time preference. That's it. We gotta learn how to save. Do the stuff that is boring. It's the boring stuff that's gonna make you have the orchard full of apples, man. That's what I keep trying to explain. Like you either gonna have a yard full of weeds, or you gonna have a yard full of trees, man. Now the question is, which one do you want? Because the trees are gonna feed your family for a very long time. You keep having them weeds, they're gonna die every season. Cause you over here looking at a sapling of an apple tree and measuring up against this, whatever this is, this what we call them, pussy willow. Like you over here, these ain't the same thing. When you start recognizing what is value and how you can actually get value out of something for the long term, you'll start realizing what it is you need to plant in your yard, man.
Hey, Lamar. Hello?
Yeah, what's up, Doc?
Oh no, it's just like we say, man. Well, like I say, when Bitcoin is in the red, I can't think of too much more valuable things on the planet to buy other than Bitcoin. Especially with what you just said as far as scarcity and the amount of satoshis you can buy. Like when you and Zay and the rest of us were up here and we talking about a dollar being one satoshi. And when you operate out of that unit bias, it's like damn, I can get 200. It's almost like me myself thinking Bitcoin goes to 35K. This $350 could be a million satoshis.
Uh-oh. Somebody cut you off.
That type of thought. Huh?
Somebody cut you off, Doc.
Oh, what's the last thing you heard?
It says somebody buying 1 million and then it stopped. So
like using 350 if Bitcoin was to go that low to buy 1 million sats that can one day turn into 1,100,000 to $1 million. That's kind of a crazy unit bias to have. So that's why I've always said, like, when Bitcoin is in the deep, there's
man, vegan, it dropped on you.
They want you to get it out.
They want you to get it out. And look, somebody on YouTube said, and those weed seeds are gonna choke out the rest of the flowering seeds that you have. Ugh, that's taking it another. Yeah, you sitting there.
Well, that is a good analogy though, because imagine the money people spend on altcoins where they were like, man, I could just bought Bitcoin. And Lamar, you did a whole Google Sheets on it. Dollar cost average of $50 a week. Could have had a whole Bitcoin over the last 4 years, but you were dabbling in whatever shitcoin somebody Uncle Earl told you about.
Right.
But yeah, those weeds choke out the other plants. Anything else you could have done with it, you just wasted it.
Yeah, and then the thing is, you don't even price your time, right? So there's the peace of mind part of it. There's the stress and the mental anguish that happens when you see these altcoins drop and disappear. Like all of that is real. Like you just better betting on the sure thing and then going about your life, especially if you're not the kind of person that's going to spend the time to do the TA. And their average person is not going to do it. They either don't have the time because they have a busy, full life, or they're not interested in it. So like all roads lead back to Bitcoin. It's the easiest option.
Wait. Reverend Charlene, can you say that one more time? Because that would sound like revival language. They don't factor in the value of time. Nobody cares about time. Tell that one more time, please.
Yeah, I mean, people don't factor in the value of time. People don't even your peace of mind is to me is priceless, right? So these altcoins going up and down, disappearing, like moving at the whim of one particular person, there's a level of stress that you're going to be absorbing that you don't even think about. There's this whole mental health part. Like there is a mental health component to being in cryptocurrency. We have to honor and hold space for that and just try to protect ourselves from the craziness because it can get crazy. And so if you want to simplify your life, if you want to trade, then be a trader, learn to trade and have an exit strategy. But if you're not going to trade, stick with Bitcoin, keep it simple, and get peace of mind.
Miss Crystal said I'm gonna read this to y'all so we can discuss it real quick. She said, if it is a store of value, you do care about it dropping significantly. If I purchased in at 50K and it is projected to drop to 35K, I am concerned. But I'll say something really quick. That's looking at it again with a high time preference. Like you need something to happen right now. If you think about what the true value of Bitcoin is, it's greater than the 50K. So if it goes down to 35, how do we always recognize when goods are on sale at Walmart, right? We like, oh, girl, that's a good price right there. Somebody's breaking up. Who is that? You breaking up real bad. But it's like when we at Walmart, we like, oh, girl, that's a good price right there. It's on sale. But when we looking at an asset and we have to start understanding the value of the asset, we have to recognize when things are on sale. We have to know that 50K is great. Like Bitcoin is greater than 50K. So if it goes to 35, you just getting it on sale. It's a short time. Like you got to have a high time preference. That's all it is. But yeah, go ahead and talk about that, y'all.
That's exactly right. We need to think about time. We're not in Bitcoin for a get rich quick. You have to look at your holdings for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. When you come in and you invest, and the first thing you want to do is see how much you can make in a week, in a month, in 3 months, you have the wrong mindset. When you invest, you should be coming in thinking about what it's going to look like after 5 years, after 10 years, after 15 years. This is a long game. This is a long game. I'm Granny Crypto, and I'm finished speaking.
Yeah, and I would just want to say I'm looking at a chart right now. Bitcoin profitable days. If you want to check it out yourself, it's on lookintobitcoin.com. Bitcoin is profitable 97.6% of the days that it's been in existence. That is basically 98% of people, 98% of the days Bitcoin's been in existence is profitable. That's a layup. If you look at the other coins, like I stated earlier, none of them are back in profit in Bitcoin terms. Maybe in USD, but we don't give a shit about fiat over here. In Bitcoin terms, 0 altcoins are up in that value. So that should be the only stat you really need to understand what we're saying.
Hey, I want to add in something. Several years ago, I bought like in 2016, 2017, I bought like $7 worth of Doge, right? And around that time, especially 2016, $7 probably would have got me, a million Satoshis and some change. The Bitcoin I have right about now, compared to the price of Doge, that Doge that I had still equals out to 1 million Satoshis. So for 4 or 5 years, what I had in Bitcoin never changed. And again, this is after the pumps. This is all after all this other stuff. So, what Zay and Lamar and what, even Miss Charlene is saying is it just pays you to keep it in Bitcoin. Like, I've tried to say this a lot, but the money you buy on an alt, it still could go better towards Bitcoin if Bitcoin's in the red. And that's pretty much it. Like, it just takes time for people to understand that. Like, I've really started to notice most of these conversations we have are just seed plants, because people will still go off the call like, yeah, they were doing some great stuff, and then go do what they do. Sometimes it'll have to take like 2 or 3 years for people to understand what's being said today.
One of the ways I look at it is like I collect Satoshis, like when Beanie Babies was out, there was a lot of people, they really wanted these Beanie Babies no matter what the price was, because they wanted to complete that collection, So a lot of people was buying Beanie Babies for like, because they wanted to sell them later, but other people wanted them because they understood the value of, well, I don't know how much they're worth now, but they wanted to complete that collection. And that's just like with Satoshis and Bitcoin. It's like, yo, I'm buying these Satoshis because I want to complete this collection of obtaining full Bitcoins.
Justin, I'm glad you brought up that million Satoshis. So when we started the whole Satoshi Millionaire campaign, you could become a Satoshi Millionaire for about $385. And at one point it got up to almost $650. So right now you can become a Satoshi Millionaire for about $430. And I think that's a great value. And so anybody who's been looking to get off zero or maybe meet that milestone, now's never been a better opportunity.
Wait, Josh, you didn't like my Beanie Baby analogy at all? Like, you, nothing?
Man, I always think it's a joke because my mom used to buy Beanie Babies. Like, she used to go and get all of them for every special Happy Meal, driving all around town to every McDonald's. And, so when people make that reference, like, I know it's made in jest, but that shit was real, and there's still people out there that just think those Beanie Babies are coming back.
Thank you, Josh.
Uh-oh. Here's one thing that I'll quickly...
So it cuts too deep, Corey. That's what I'm saying. It cuts too deep.
Yeah, real quick, completely off topic. I just want everybody in the room to know today is the last day to file your extensions. So pretty much everybody in the crypto space, if you've profited, if you owe taxes, you want to make sure you file your extension. It's pretty simple to do. If you need help, just DM me. But you want to make sure you do that so you don't get the failure to file penalty. Failure to pay is like 0.5%, so it's like less than 1%. But failure to file is 5%. So just make sure you guys file your extensions if you have not done that already, especially if you're making profit. If you get a refund, don't worry about it. But if you owe money, make sure you file your extensions.
Yeah, and one thing that I'll quickly add to that is so powerful, CJ. So everybody make sure that y'all meet that tax deadline and all that greatness. There is a difference between price and value, right? Most people run to the mall when they see something that's red, 30% off, 15% off. The stock market and by extension crypto are really the only places where people, have that separation of value versus price, right? Just because something is on sale, if it still has the same value, right, that you perceive it to have, you're like, oh shoot, I can put more of my money to work for me. Not, oh well, let me wait when it goes back up to the regular price, and then I'm gonna get it because that makes this shirt or this item much more valuable. Or how about I wait till they raise up the price, and charge me 15 or 20% more for me to get it? No one thinks like that, right? So we have to have that same, quote unquote logic as it relates to things that we are actually placing value on, not a price, right? So the value of Bitcoin is definitely way more than the price that you can get it at today, right? Like that's just a huge fact. So for anyone to think like that, we have to definitely zoom out a lot more, think more broadly about where is this thing headed in the next 3, 4, 5 years. And just think, just last year, Bitcoin was just on sale for 4,000, right? 3,800 to 4,000, $5,000. It was on a huge sale. Those people are happy because they understand that you make profit when you buy and not necessarily when you sell. So again, for those people that thought, oh, it's going to drop more, or it's still not worth this, those are the same people that started to buy back when it got 20,000. Or they started to buy back when it's like 45,000 because it's like, oh man, this thing is really moving. It's moving. Well, shoot, it was moving from 3K to 5K, from 5K to 10K, but you still didn't want it then because you still did not see the value because you were too caught up on the price. So let's not necessarily always look at the price, but think about the value and then let that guide you because the value is still there no matter what price it falls back to. This is Ryan. I'm done speaking.
Yeah, Isaac said, playing devil's advocate, please explain where is this confidence coming from that BTC will remain as a store of value over the next couple of decades. This is still a developing space and universal application and acceptance yet to be proven. Asking for a friend. So I'll take a little bit of this. So here's a couple things that I always tell people to look at when you look at the scoreboard for Bitcoin. Bitcoin right now is I guess it's almost $900 billion asset. It hit $1 trillion asset. There are over 100 million people in the world that have it. So that shows you that there is some value associated with it. The banks and the central banks around the world and the monetary policy of most of these banks is to continue to create and keep printing more and more money, which means that there is not a better store of value than Bitcoin from my perspective, because as you continue to move out into the future, your fiat dollars will become more and more debased and more diluted, which is the reason why Bitcoin has started to go up like it has, because people are finding other places to put it. We don't recognize it as much as the people in Nigeria. Like my man came in from Nigeria, he said he remembers when $1 and a naira were exactly the same. He said what he noticed is that the naira, of course, now it takes 400 of them to get $1. That is incredible inflation. That in and of itself makes a lot of people in Nigeria look to something else to be a store of value. We haven't hit it in this country, but 25%, almost 30%, right, of the monetary supply was printed over the last year.
Tell them.
So if that is the case, we are getting close to those types of numbers. And the people in the United States of America, there are 46 million people, they said, in the United States that have a Bitcoin. So I don't see how something that has that much behind it, that many people behind it, with that type of value in it, I don't see that going away anytime soon. And as more and more people understand it being a better store of value than even gold, from the reason that you can send it across space and time, right? It holds its value across space and time. That's what Bitcoin does. Then people will start to realize that this is a better place to put your money. And gold right now is a $10 trillion market, even though I hardly own any outright unless it's in my cell phone. How many people on stage hold gold?
Right. Don't.
I got something gifted to me, but yeah, no.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Nobody's really holding gold, but almost everybody's holding Bitcoin. Why? Because it's a lot easier to hold. It's a lot easier to protect. It's a lot easier to send. That is why we believe that it's going to be that, right? And that's the truth. And that's the whole thing about value. See, where you win, let me explain something. Where you win is when you can see value where others can't. Where others see obstacles, you see opportunities. That's where you win. The fact that somebody in Manhattan said, I'm never going to sell this piece of land. There's an Episcopal church I heard in Manhattan that owns so much. It's like the richest church in the world because it owns so much land in Manhattan. They said, listen, we're going to buy this up and we're not going to sell. That's called vision. That's called understanding what value is versus the price of something. That's what you have to see with Bitcoin, because you have to understand the macroeconomics of what's going on in this world. The only way I can see Bitcoin taking a huge fall is if the monetary systems decided to stop printing all this money. But do you think that's going to happen? Matter of fact, with this pandemic, we see it almost can't happen. Like they have to continue to print money because the economy is being held up by a crutch. And that crutch that we are dealing with right now in the economy, that crutch is the only thing that's keeping our economy feeling like it's rolling. Because if you take away that crutch, you're going to start seeing some issues, some systemic issues that's going to cause a lot of consolidation amongst all of these companies that cannot perform and survive without the government giving them a handout. And when that happens, where is your money going to be? When you already see the price of goods, the price of lumber's up like 400%, something crazy. You start seeing the price of goods go up. That's going to trickle down into consumer goods. The price of commodities going up is going to show up in your consumer goods. And what happens when your bread costs more? You're going to start realizing your dollar's not buying you enough. And you know who that hurts? When your dollar can't buy you more, when your dollar winds up getting less and less, it's going to hurt you as a wage owner. Those people who earn wages is going to hurt you because that's the way you make your money. You trade your time for money, and that money is, if it keeps getting diluted, you are getting robbed every time you go to work and don't even realize it. That's the reason why they're trying to get the dang, man, I know I'm on one right now, but just let me stay on one, please.
Keep it going.
Here's the thing. They are literally trying to raise the minimum wage because they already understood what was coming when they printed all of that freaking money. They trying to make you at least feel like you still have the same amount of wealth. That's where we are, man. This is what's happening right now in this space. Like if you just look across the globe, this is what's happening. And Bitcoin is that place that you can take your value and store it. And people have done it since it was at $100. No, since it was at $2, since it was at $100, when it got to $150, when it got to $3,000. And every step along the way, somebody had something to say like Bitcoin wasn't going to make it. You understand what I'm saying? Bitcoin's not going to be the one. And we keep seeing it constantly grow because you can't stop it because the technology is number go up because there's only going to be 21 million and the demand for having a decentralized store of value, a decentralized censorshipless money is going to be what pushes us into the next generation, period. So the question is that if you want to accumulate and start to get some of this Bitcoin, you'll be out in front of the majority of the people in the world. And all you need is 0.28, right, to be in the top 1% of all Bitcoin holders. Right now, that's becoming even more achievable. Shout out to Bitcoin Vegan for pushing this price down like he did. I'm gonna start saying it's vegan's fault.
Hey, I love it. I love it. Y'all need to give me that. Hey, I wanted to say, Lamar, with everything you said, man, that's bomb because me and Ryan, is he still on the call? He's gone. Me and Ryan, no, he's right there. Me and Ryan were in an interview with Benzinga, and they were talking about inflation, and I was repeating what Zay was saying here and what we talked about, how inflation is no longer going to be 2%, more like 15%, and when they started talking about the gas shortage, in my mind, people love talking about conspiracy theories over goofy stuff, but they don't think the fact of, this thing with this gas shortage isn't a way to me, it's like a way to sneak in higher gas prices for you to be comfortable with it. Honestly, I don't really see how gas got seized. I'm not on that level of government, but, it just looks to me of how do you phase all this in, with all the reports about inflation since the printing of the money, you're going to have to find a way to increase prices in a way that the public will seem acceptable. So I just see that continuously being the thing. Like how do you phase in a 15% increase in inflation over the next course of a year? Well, you got to use some type of panic. And after that, I wouldn't be surprised how these gas prices just settle at a crazy higher price. And like you said, with raising minimum wage, people don't really know what the spending power is happening to them right now. So that was a great. I just want to say that was a great piece on that.
And Lamar, just to kind of go back a couple sentences on what you said, I do have gold, and it's only for one reason. Like, God forbid the apocalypse happens. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting my seed phrases. I'm trying to leave the country, and I need to cross water. And the one guy that has the boat has on the Dogecoin T-shirt. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to take my Bitcoin, so that's why I gotta have some gold on hand for that guy.
Man. But yeah, man, I didn't mean to get off on too much of a tangent right there, but I see people over here, they're asking, like, what is that value, right? Because we don't get to do that a lot on the Genesis block. The Genesis block, we talk about news, we go back and forth. And if you come to the Black Bitcoin Billionaire, we do that all the time. We talk about the value of Bitcoin, where the value is, why it is important, especially for black folk, for us that have been disenfranchised, for us that have been oppressed systemically in this country financially. Like, we understand how powerful that is. Shout out to my man Bitcoin Zay for the definitive book. Bitcoin Zay's book, I'm telling y'all right now, is going to be up there with the W.B. Du Bois. Like, that book, when we look back on it, is going to be a definitive place. It's going to be a very, like, what do you call it, a checkpoint for black society and what goes on from that point forward. That's why I say shout out to my man Bitcoin Zay for writing it, man.
Appreciate that, Lamar. Yeah, smash by for your ancestors.
Yeah, for sure. Get your Bitcoin.
Yeah, because we're gonna build. I love that you went on that entire speech, Lamar. Actually, because some people would think, when we're talking about it, like you said, we say news, we go back and forth, but some people need to realize this is serious. Like, you need to actually have a sense of urgency at this point. And you can play around with all this other stuff, but we're talking about the best money ever created. And the statistic you gave about being in the 1%, think about that, people. Like 0.28 Bitcoin. I'm not sure how much that is exactly, but somewhere around, $12,000, a little bit more. I mean, to be in the 1% of the new economy, I don't think people understand how important that is. So, I'm glad you definitely stated your point. And again, with the book, I'm glad that people receive it and are listening at this point. But we gotta have a sense of urgency. Like, we definitely have to get to a point where we stop playing with what we're talking about. So I'm glad you definitely stated that. Appreciate you.
Hey, Black Bitcoin Billionaire. Real quick. Hold on real quick, though. Hold on real quick, Ryan. Because people are asking me where can they get the book. If you are a member of blackbitcoinbillionaire.com, you get the book for free. My man Zay is trying to put this knowledge in you. He got edition 2 coming out. Is it out? It's out right now, ain't it, Zay?
Yeah, it's out for pre-order. I'll tell you all, because y'all the Black Bitcoin Billionaires, between litigation, between some of the things in the book, as well as death threats, as well as other stuff with the second book, I can promise you, I wish I could put it out right now. I'm just waiting legally to put it out because I can't wait for you all to read it. A lot of good stuff. But yes, first book is free, digital copy on the website. So trying to get the information out to anybody who wants it.
Yeah, check that out. BlackBitcoinBillionaire.com. Go and join. And he gave it to you guys. All you got to do is anybody who's a member, he gave it to all of us. Just go to BlackBitcoinBillionaire.com. You can download the digital copy and make sure you get it and read it. You know what I'm saying? And join. Here's the thing. While we're telling people to join BlackBitcoinBillionaire.com, number one, we're going to have great content coming out. Shout out to my man Ian for holding that down. Ian, is he still here? Is Ian still on stage? Like, shout out to Ian for holding that down and pushing it. Shout out to Miss Charlene. She's been helping.
Yeah, I'm here. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
shout out to Ian.
Yeah, shout out to Ian. Shout out to Miss Charlene for keeping us organized. Miss Melissa Henderson. Like, shout out to all of y'all to keep that going. You know what I'm saying? And anybody else who wants to write, holler at Ian. We got some new writers. I think Alpha Centauri started. So y'all know Alpha Centauri. She out here on that rebellion. But that's what I'm saying. We trying to make sure that we have a place for the Black Bitcoin Billionaires to come and be able to take in content, and then for us also to disseminate information outside of these other platforms. See, we own BlackBitcoinBillionaire.com. We own that. And we've been able to pass out Bitcoins to thousands of people through blackbitcoinbillionaire.com. We've been able to give free books away from blackbitcoinbillionaire.com. Now, this is what I'm saying. Make sure y'all go join blackbitcoinbillionaire.com. No S. Go join it right now. Right, the Satoshi Millionaire Challenge is pretty much wrapped up, but there are other things we're going to be doing. We're going to put the information out about Miami, about the Miami house and everything that we're trying to do down there. Make sure y'all join blackbitcoinbillionaire.com, because members definitely get better information than everybody else, because it allows us to then cover that information and only give it to the people who we need to get it. Y'all understand what I'm saying on that? You feel me? So go to blackbitcoinbillionaire.com, get Zay's book. Also support the merch that's supporting Miss Naja while she's out here on the road. Everybody who made their merch purchases, it says pre-sale at the top of the page. It says pre-sale for a reason. It allows us to not have to have a whole lot of inventory. Because everybody knows t-shirts, you always wind up with like 500 mediums and 1,000 smalls or something, because you didn't, you know what I'm saying, you ordered too many. So we wanted to do a pre-sale to make sure that we kept, here's the thing, there's no reason for us to keep a lot of our Bitcoin in inventory. If we're the Black Bitcoin Billionaires, the Bitcoin that is inside of our club that we actually use, right, to give to people, there's no reason for us to keep that in a t-shirt. So we trying to make sure that we keep the inventory as low as possible. So you're going to get your t-shirts, you're going to get your hats, and it's doing pretty well right now. Go to merch.blackbitcoinbillionaire.com. Like, y'all can see I'm on one today, man, because all of this FUD and all of this crazy stuff is trying to deter our people from understanding what it is and the goal that we have of accumulating as many Satoshis as possible and at least becoming a Satoshi millionaire. And now it's just getting cheaper for you to do so. So make sure you do it. But yeah, go ahead, Ryan, man. I know you was trying to jump in, bro.
No, what I was going to say was to Zay's point, right? Like, we have to become even more urgent and serious about this. Why? Because a lot of people are using that 18 million, almost 19 million Bitcoin number. But what does that mean? That already means that 90% just about of Bitcoin is already out there. But guess what, people? It's not 18 million or 18,711,000 and some odd number Bitcoin available, because it is estimated that anywhere between 3 to 5 million Bitcoin is inaccessible, right? Those people, they don't have that seed phrase. The hard drive that it was on has been thrown in landfills and all the other places like that. So that's Bitcoin that in general, at this current moment, that is not going to be back onto the scene, right? So it is up to us now, while we still have access to it, to get it. Because there can be a time where they say, oh, we're going to regulate fiat on-ramps. We're going to make it so that you need to be an accredited investor in order to really get this and go and buy places. Or fees just may wind up being too high on some of these platforms. So this is the time, right? Yesterday was the time. A few months ago was the time. A few years ago was the time. But guess what? We can't rewind time. So today is your time. There is no greater time than right now, especially since it's on discount. It's on sale. So just, it is an urgent moment, and this is not to cause FOMO or anything like that, right? But there will really be people missing out on this that had the opportunity, and it's not even about price, but it's about something that you have self-sovereignty over, something that is decentralized, something that if your family, if they're in another country, you can say, cool, here you go, as long as they got a wallet. You don't need Western Union and MoneyGram and all these places that take multiple days or spend $45 to send a wire. You don't need none of that. Only thing that they need is for you, a conversation, and their address. And as long as you have Bitcoin, you'll be fine. So the time is really now for our people to be able to get this asset and really understand the power and potential that it has, because it has greater potential than just to be spent. It will be used as a new financial basis for our systems. It can be used for us to support each other, and a whole host of other things, used as collateral, right? So it's just up to us now to really understand the power and importance of it. Right.
Hey, I want to say, because Lamar, that guy, or whomever that was you read from YouTube or Facebook, he's asking for conviction over Bitcoin. Like when people ask this question, like, how do y'all see all this value? They're really asking, like, where we get this conviction from. How we can just stand up there in the face of everything and be like, yeah, this is what Bitcoin will do. And that also just comes with time, like times like these. Ryan was hinting on it. And it's just the fact of, like, you actually have to be here. You can't play Bitcoin. If you look at it like boxing, you can't play Bitcoin. And so when people ask these questions, they're asking like, where did y'all get y'all conviction from? Well, because they want to know like it's not about the value, because you can tell them, well, it's science, it's mathematics. These folks probably didn't give a damn about that in elementary school. So the fact of the matter is, they want to know where we get our conviction from. It's during times like this, removing emotions, not being attached to it emotionally, and watching the cycles, like watching it from like an objective point of view, and then just learning from there. I mean, you got to go through all the highs and all the lows several times to have that. But when people ask, why do y'all see that valuable? They're asking, in my mind, where do y'all get this conviction from to continuously talk like that? Because no one else is talking like that. And that's where, you really start knowing you're around the correct people. So I'm Justin, and I was done speaking.
Hey, Justin, he said, I'm gonna tell you what he said back, because he said he was playing devil's advocate. So what did he say back? He said, well said, Big Ma. Just want to be clear, I'm still gobbling Satoshis like Pac-Man. So this is a dude that's down with what we doing too. I think he just wanted us to really, you know what I'm saying, like really get it out there, because a lot of people don't understand it, because we definitely don't do that on the Genesis block, because you know what I'm saying, it can get monotonous, and that's what it should be. Like this stuff, look, somebody just said, lettuce hands or diamond hands. Many asked yesterday, am I trying to catch a falling knife? And anybody who knows what that means is when the price is going down, people trying to grab it. But you got to understand it's different when you're accumulating versus when you're trading. Like it just really is. If you're just trading, trying to get more fiat, yeah, you might be trying to catch a falling knife. But if you're accumulating, you're not catching a falling knife. You just putting more stuff in your storehouse. You literally stocking up. You know what I'm saying? It's like the people that go to the store and get 50 things of dishwashing detergent because it's for $1. Now they got 100 of them sitting in their garage that they don't ever need. You feel me? This is different though, because this is an actual asset. And some people are like, Lamar, but we need our own coin. The thing is though, if we own this, it's like owning land. If you own land in Manhattan, you own it. This is even more sure about owning it, right? If you have your own keys, there is no eminent domain that's going to take these out of your hands. That's what we have to understand. There's nobody that can come unless your security's bad, you're not really keeping track of it or nothing like that. But can't nobody just come and say, this is mine now, this is my bike, punk. Nobody can come and say that with Bitcoin. When you own Bitcoin, you own Bitcoin. That's completely different than what most of us have had to deal with in this world, especially as African Americans. In this country, we have had I'm on one today. I'm sorry, y'all. We have had everything taken from us. Slowly but surely, right? Through eminent domain, through all kinds of scams, through hustles, through taxes, through all types of things. We've had property that we've owned taken out of our hands. Bitcoin does not allow that. When you understand how to control your keys, you control your own destiny when it comes to Bitcoin. Period. Man, I need to stop. We got to get some questions up here, man.
Keep it going. Keep going. Hey, look, one more thing. This is where you have. This is not financial advice, but Ryan, this is where this is where I have FOMO. This is where I have fear of missing out. Let me say it like that. I don't want to give out bad advice, but this is where Justin, the Bitcoin vegan, has FOMO. So take it as you wish.
Justin, your microphone is picking up a lot of background activity. What fruit are you unwrapping in the candy wrapper over there?
Bro, that was some exclusive stuff. That was a papaya.
Hey, Lamar.
Yes, ma'am.
This is Charlene. I got an anonymous question that came into my DMs, and I was wondering if we could entertain it from the mods.
Yeah, indeed. Listen, this is a different show today. This was just field. Let's go.
Okay, let's do it. So the question was, for those mods that hold altcoins, what do you hold and why? And so I'm going to add my spin, and I think this is probably a question for the traders in the room. So that's the question. So it's open to anyone that would like to answer.
Go on, traders. Chicken feet and bones. Look, nobody answered.
I know, right? It's
I don't hold any coins, but if I did, Bitcoin is going to be at the top of that list. If I held any other coins, Ethereum might be on that list. ADA may be on that list if I was holding any other coins. What else? I mean, it's a few other things that might be on that list. Chainlink may be on that list. But I digress.
How'd you come to those? Who told you about them? Crystal Ball, 8 Ball, what was it?
Crystal Ball, man. Crystal Ball.
Where's Ryan at, man? Ryan ain't here no more?
Yeah, where did he go?
He dipped on you.
Oh no, he's at the bottom.
He's on the stage, but I don't know if he's speaking. And listen here, none of that's financial advice.
Yeah, none of it. It's just for entertainment purposes only. Period. Somebody said, stocked up on a few Satoshis back in 2017, Sylvester Ishmael. When I first heard Lamar, holding on to my Satoshis and trying to be a Satoshi trillionaire. Hey, that's what's up right there. Keep keeping knowledge. Keep kicking that knowledge. Let's see. And then everybody else is messing with me. Tell them how you really feel, Lamar. That's your boy Carmelo. And then Miss Krista Mendoza. She said, how do you protect it against federal laws? Man, Miss Crystal, I love your questions today. It's making us go all the way in. So, what do y'all think, man? We was talking about this the other day. That what we keep noticing from these these nation states, which we agreed last night when I was talking about the whole boss level, that the nation state is probably the last boss level. To have a whole nation state like the United States come against Bitcoin very hard and try to stop it, right? And try to what's the word I'm looking for? The same thing Nigeria did, ban it. That's the thing, right? Like when they do it and Bitcoin beats that, that's going to be the final boss. That's when people will realize that here's the thing, you guys, the technology itself, because of its decentralized nature, and the more decentralized it is, the harder it is to stop. Its decentralized nature in the technology makes it pretty much dang near unstoppable. It's anti-fragile. Like, period. What can they do? They can't stop it. All they can do is make you scared, put fear in you, and make you believe that you shouldn't be using it and all these other things to take away your freedoms. And that's what I always say. Like, if it gets down to the point where they're trying to take away your freedoms, my question is, are you going to let them take your freedoms again? That's my question. There's going to be a line drawn in the sand if the United States ever does that, because they know they can't stop the technology. So they can't stop the technology without shutting off the internet. Matter of fact, one of the senators just said that. So then it's just going to boil down to your thought, and if you're going to allow them to take your ability to transact. That's really all it boils down to. To me, software is freedom of speech. Are you going to allow the government to take your freedom of speech? Because they'll come up with all types of fun. It's used to kill babies. And the mining is you know what I'm saying? Killing the earth.
The mining's killing the baby seals?
Right.
Oh, man.
Bruh, these are the kind of things they're going to come out with. Even though we see Bitcoin's not killing baby seals or none of this stuff. They're going to come out with all types of things to make you have fear, so that you start asking all these questions, and then you get these echo chambers of people with fear. The question is, are you going to stand in the face of fear and say, you know what? I know this is a better monetary system than what you currently have for me, and I know that I can actually control it, and you can't take it from me. That is the rebellion. That's what we always are talking about. Now, in the United States, if they're smart, they'll latch on to this thing. Because there's going to be a country that's not really friendly with the United States, that's going to latch on to this thing, and then at that point, we'll have a arms race, and it'll be the new war. Instead of the Cold War and all of this other stuff where we fighting over nuclear and how to get to the moon, it's going to be a currency war. I believe it. Because one of these countries is going to realize that Bitcoin's way better than what they've ever put out, and they're going to start accumulating as much as they can. They're going to keep printing. They're going to print their money into oblivion just to gather as much Bitcoin as they possibly can. The same way they print a lot of money to go buy weapons. because it's war, right? And at that point, that's when we'll see Bitcoin act a fool. That's when you'll see the world's value start to flow into Bitcoin. And that's why we're trying to tell everybody who we possibly can to get out in front of all of that, man. Because when they figure out they can't stop it, the only thing they can do is adopt or adapt. That's it, man. That's the only thing they can do. We realize they can't stop this. And I've never really said this on the Genesis block, right? But the truth is, think about it like this, man. BitTorrent is a decentralized network. BitTorrent came out after Napster. It came out after, what's the other one? LimeWire and all the other pirating softwares. And then what's your boy, Mega Upload with Kim.com. All of those are gone. BitTorrent's still around. Why? Because it is decentralized in nature. It is anti-fragile. You take one down, another one comes up in its place. It's just like with weed. The war on drugs was not going to work. Why? Because it was extremely decentralized. You take one dealer down, another one shows up in his place. You take one grower down, another one shows up in his place. So instead of them having to be able to continue to put all of these dollars in towards something that's decentralized, they had to learn how to adopt and adapt. And you see many states are coming on legal with marijuana. Same thing with terrorism. Here's the crazy part, right? You can't stop terrorism. You kill somebody, right? Their son becomes the next one that wants to kill you. So you can't stop it, right? So if we continue to keep moving down that path, we see Bitcoin and its decentralized nature makes it anti-fragile and very difficult to stop. And once they put all the money they can to try to stop it and put all the fear out there they can to try to stop it, and Bitcoin continues to win, the only thing they can do is adapt or adopt. That's it. So we're not worried about we're not worried about governments. Yeah, go ahead, man.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking about the worst case scenario. In terms of what the government can do, they can either heavily regulate exchanges or shut down exchanges. That's why we always teach, like, once you buy Bitcoin, take it off the exchanges, put it in a cold storage wallet, so it stops from seizure. And if it gets like really, really bad, I mean, you always have it in the cold storage, or you have your private key, you write it down on a physical paper or somewhere else. Like, they can't apprehend that. They literally, there's no way, or some people memorize their private keys, so they can't hack into your mind. So there's literally no way for them to get a hold of your Bitcoin. And if one country decides to shut down exchanges, another thing, if people have family and stuff, it's kind of hard. But there's so many other countries right now. If you look at, Portugal and Switzerland and other very Bitcoin-friendly countries who will gladly accept you. I don't see it getting to that point, but really it comes down to heavily regulating exchanges. But as long as you have your private keys, they can't touch you. It's literally impossible. And if one country shuts down, let's say exchanges or Bitcoin, like, another country will gladly accept you with open arms. So,
hey, real quick, I wanted to say something in regards to what Ian is saying, and here's something that's not really said once we go to the shutting down of exchanges part, right? This is why I teach a class on nodes. Because there are ways to be way more decentralized than we currently are. And I know Lamar says the average person doesn't care. But this is why you have to be beyond average with that, because you get to see how to be decentralized at the very base layer. And even if they do shut down exchanges, you are a part of the Black Bitcoin billionaires. So we're still a peer-to-peer source. And, when you create the correct relationships, and cultivate the correct relationships, you can find somebody, to trade your fiat for Bitcoin. It might take you some digging, but I say this because you don't never want to get out the inside of like, oh, we got to get on Cash App. Oh no, they're going to shut down Binance, man. Fuck all of that shit. Like, that's not why we're here. You know what I mean? Like, you have a community, the Black Bitcoin billionaires, join the club. Like, you have a community. This is what this is for. And I'm not trying to discredit anything anyone says, but a lot of times once the conversation gets to the shutting down of exchanges, I don't know where people's minds go. because we'll never really follow it up with nothing practical, but you still have people. And that's where the white paper said peer to peer. Even if you don't know how to set up a node to get on the whole decentralized network, peer to peer, there are people in this group. You might have to take some digging. It might have to take you some weeks or a month to find somebody who'll do it. But the reality is still there. You don't just stop because, one thing may be shut down or, governments might look like they try to do something. This is still a peer-to-peer space, and it's still, going to be off the backs of what you do with people. So I'm Justin, and that's my time.
Man. Justin, real talk.
Agreed.
Yeah, because that's the thing, Justin. What you just said is crazy because we have a network ourselves, and people don't remember, Justin. I think you were a little bit later, but me and Say always talk about us actually getting some of our first Bitcoin in a coffee shop. Like, it's not that long ago, man.
Yeah, I met people in the street about Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like it's 30, if not 30, 40, 50 years ago we was doing this. This was just a little bit ago we were actually buying Bitcoin peer-to-peer in a coffee shop. And here's what's so crazy. The social media was not as big then. The connectivity for us to actually create networks on top of all of these other networks like Signal and Telegram and all of that, we can set up our own peer-to-peer network of trading outside of all of this stuff, man.
Right.
Really easy. You know what I'm saying? And I love what my man Bitcoin Vegan said. He was like, we are all here together. Black Bitcoin billionaire. We all joining together. We can put out software that creates and helps all of this stuff because we have talented people in this group that actually can build these things. That can create our own peer-to-peer networks within ourselves. That regardless of what happens, we become anti-fragile in and of ourselves. We build a peer-to-peer network that we all keep up and running. Then the Black Bitcoin billionaire becomes anti-fragile. They can't even stop our messaging. You dig what I'm saying?
And we're all over the world, Lamar. We're all over the world.
All over the world.
I want to share the reason why I'm so big on these node classes because then within there, you can, really do that communication piece. Or even like how you said, even just imagine the Black Bitcoin. And I know you wasn't really big on it. Well, I didn't say you weren't big on it, but you wanted more info. Just imagine the Black Bitcoin billionaires created their own Lightning channel. You know what I mean? Like, that's just big. That's thinking big. You already have 100-some thousand users. We got to use them. You know what I'm saying? Not put them to work, but like slaves, but, really use that network because you have 100,000 people now. It's no longer a game. It's not something people could just, turn around and like, oh, that's cool what you guys are doing. Like, no, what we're doing is real. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's real.
Justin, I'm huge on Lightning Network, man. I love Lightning Network. I talked to Jamal James, and you know what? We need to lead that up through you. We need to get you to get everybody an Umbral, get us a thing up. Because here's the thing. Somebody asked me to join their network last night. They got like one called Friendship. It's called the Friendship Network, and it's a bunch of OGs, Bitcoin OGs in it. And they asked me to be a part of theirs last night. But we definitely need to create the Black Bitcoin billionaire nodes, like Lightning nodes, to create inbound traffic for everybody, in and outbound traffic for everybody.
When you really think about it, because then you start going towards the next layer. All right, so now we have money, on Lightning within our network, or our users have. And that's how we can continuously do business. So then, you don't have to about certain levels of conversation because you're keeping Bitcoin in the space, and also it's still decentralized on a private network in Bitcoin. I mean, that's really the moves that should be made. Like start making it towards a project thing because over time you don't want to continuously have people to think. Like, well, damn, they shut this down. What I'm going to do next? Like, this is the base layer. This is what it is. So, yeah, most definitely, Lamar, we could definitely chop that up and even add Jamal in or whatever, but I'm down for it.
Yeah, man. I'll
definitely be a part of that to learn.
Yeah,
I'll be a part of that to learn.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, CJ.
No, I was just agreeing with you. Like, I'll be a part of that because I want to learn that also. Come from the finance side, I understand group economics, and I think that'd be huge. So, make that happen.
Yeah, and I truthfully, I love peer-to-peer stuff, period. And I've been thinking, and I'm saying this out loud, so it's going to be open source and everything. But I literally want to build a peer-to-peer network a anti-fragile peer-to-peer network that we keep up. The issue I always had was trying to incentivize the peers to keep their node up. I think I told Jakumi and Black Regal about this before, because that's the biggest issue with peer-to-peer is like, how do you incentivize people to keep their nodes up? Lightning Network definitely helps that, but the question is, do we need to have communication on that same network? You see what I'm saying? But we can create a network between the Black Bitcoin billionaires and make sure everybody can download it on their computer, on their phone or whatever, and then that'll be, that's going to be crazy. You dig what I'm saying?
We're going to talk about it, Lamar. It's out there.
Yeah, we'll talk about it, man. I'm all the way down right now, man. I'm all the way down. A dude named Sean Phillips, I want to say something real quick because he asked another question. He said, what about quantum computing? And I'll go over it really quick. Right now, quantum computing really can't affect Bitcoin from the standpoint of its base layer. Because from a hashing algorithm's perspective, quantum computing cannot back out and hash algorithm. What quantum computing can attack are public keys and paid to public key hashes. So those are the early addresses that everybody was using. Now, and I ain't gonna say everybody; they only use them for a little bit. So any address that is paid to public key or paid to public key hash, if the public key has been shown, that's what quantum computing can hurt. Which means that some of those early addresses may be able to be spent, right? But outside of that, if most of these transactions are paid to script hash and those types of transactions, those are not going to be able to be backed out really easily with quantum computing. Quantum computing does very specific things, and that's what everybody has to understand. I think people just like saying quantum computing because they think, oh, this is what's going to kill it. But the truth is that there are a lot of things that deal with this type of security, right? And I think that those things will be attacked way before Bitcoin is. And even if Bitcoin is, the only thing they're going to do is back out early addresses of people's coins. So they might be able to steal from early people. But outside of that, man, I don't see it. But anyway, I just wanted to answer that real quick while we were all within that. We're not completely safe. There are some addresses, again, like I said, that can be hit. But, yeah. Outside of that, man, look. We done went an hour and 40 minutes. We have to get these people up for questioning. I know Miss Naja's not here today, so I'm gonna just let who wants to run it for me today, man? Josh, T-Mac, Miss Charlene, who wants to run it for me today?
I've got time.
All right, thank you, Josh, man. Appreciate it.
Yes,
So
sir.
we only got 20 minutes before I close down on Facebook. I said I was gonna make the show an hour long, but today kind of went well over.
And Lamar and Justin, I was just going to say you could use Sphinx chat through the Umbrel node. So, I mean, you could do a back-end chat channel, but you can do it all through the node.
Oh, yeah, we're going to get them on that. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, we're going to get it going.
We're going to get it going.
Peace, family. I just wanted to check in because I was chewed out last night by my brother T-Mac. I wanted to let him know that I have a studio session tonight, and our song, will be complete, and it will be sent to your email. And CJ, also, you will be getting the email as well about this this NFT with you and Justin.
My man, much appreciated, Sharif.
Yeah. We need that. That should be the album cover right there.
Yeah, I got on Sharif's case for the deadline of last week for that song. But I told him before Miami, at least, we would like to get that song. So I appreciate you, brother Sharif.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you all.
That NFT gonna be fire. I'm looking forward to that.
Hey, I just had to go look at it again because I hadn't looked at it for a little bit, and I'm not too good with digitizing myself. It's still a realm that I'm learning. But I hit up a couple partners and stuff like that, and some of their rough drafts on it are amazing. So I look forward to showing you brothers and the family in general. So
yeah, man, that's cool. Yeah, it's all a process. We learning as we go. So I'm just looking forward to it.
Vanessa, you have something?
Yeah, who is next?
I saw Miss Vanessa was off mute. I didn't know if she had anything she wanted to add or a question.
Oh, no, that was just an accident. I'm sorry. I'm just listening in right now. Thank you.
Yeah, we got Ian, Sentinel, Nerlin. I know Nerlin had a question. I saw it pop up on my Twitter. I couldn't get to it to read it. Miss Nerlin, what was your question, sister?
I got it. I got a few, but I'll start with you after a while you spoke through it, so it was answered eventually. I didn't really understand what you meant by low versus high. I was trying to understand what you meant by low versus high time preference and people like looking at their phones. And I look at my phone all the time. I never use, but I look at it all the time to see if Bitcoin's going to continue to see if I can get more. And I was trying to understand what you meant by low versus high, but I think I get it now.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my phone, I guess, for a different reason than what you were trying to say in terms of low versus high time
She,
preference.
I got you,
she
Miss
got the
Nerlin.
Dogecoin dog at her house. You can hear the Dogecoin dog
She's
back
buying
there.
the
No,
dip.
nasty.
Yeah, she's buying the dip. So anybody who had that question, so a high time preference means that your preference is relegated to the time right now, right? It means that time matters to you a lot. Like you want to make sure you get gains quickly. You see what I'm saying? And that's what tends to happen, especially with people who have been oppressed. Like you want to get gains quickly. You're trying to get out of your situation as fast as possible. A low time preference means that you can wait. It's really just patience, right? You can wait. You understand that you're gonna get out. It's gonna take you some time, but you're gonna get out. When you get out, right, that's when you're gonna get your gains. Your gains are gonna come over time. So that's what you have to understand between high time preference. Just if I could break it down pretty as simply as I can. If anybody else can break it down a little better than that, go ahead and jump in there.
Oh, I wanted to ask the sister who was just on. What do you have like? Speaking of time preference, do you have like a goal? Is your goal like kind of trying to buy a whole Bitcoin as quick as possible, or just put money, aside, or dollar cost average, just as you go along?
If I tried to buy a whole Bitcoin, I'd probably lose it somewhere. Like my mastiff would eat it or something. But no, it would be good if I could afford to do that. But no, I'm not in a position to do that. I am just looking to get in on the dips and trying to help my mother invest in. But just trying to take advantage of the sale, But before I started my initial investment in Bitcoin, I never used to look at my phone. I wasn't in trading, wasn't in crypto, and now it's sort of an unwanted stress. Like I'm looking at my phone to see when the dips, and I just don't want to be taken over in that way. And I know it's important, but I still want to maintain my inner peace. I had a good balance before that, but yeah, that's it.
Oh no, I was only asking because I had mentioned something to someone, and they said I had put myself on a plan of how to buy like a whole Bitcoin over time if I just dollar cost average into it. That's the only reason I was asking. But I mean, every time, it's kind of like how Lamar said earlier about video game levels. When you reach a different level in Bitcoin, you still got a different personal inner boss to conquer. And I think that's why we all preach the principles on a day-to-day basis, because that's what you kind of lean on, and not wanting to feel so pressured to make a move. But I mean, internally, sometimes I feel like that just happens because even after 5 years, I still have that little bit of an urge, but I just know how to delegate the energy differently. I mean, I don't know if anybody else has that experience, but please speak on it if you can talk about it better than me.
Hi, I'll just say something really fast. I haven't been investing as long as you, but I have I started learning actually how to trade last year, and I recently kind of got into the investing space around November, December. But just starting off with investing in a few assets in the beginning. I remember when my wallet started off at a couple of $100, and then it went to $1,000, and then it went to a couple $1,000s. So the exit strategy to me was really helpful before I started investing, because it allowed me to kind of remain humble as I saw my wallet change over time. So that kind of is really helpful, entering into an investment, especially someone like you, Miss Nerlene. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, but just like how you said, you're buying in on the dips, and you want to still have your life and not be stressed out. So I mean, the smart thing is to kind of maybe set like an extra strategy if you have a particular goal that you want to get to. Once that goal hits, relax, or maybe that'll kind of help you with relaxing a little bit more. That I know that helps me, so maybe that would help you too.
I'm not exiting Bitcoin.
Okay, cool.
If I can quickly say this, right, and this goes back to points that we talk about, it's all about perspective. And this, Madam Ms. Nerlin, this is not directly to you, but to other people. In terms of, as a trader, if I'm day trading, then I'm thinking about what is happening in 5 minutes and 15 minutes, right? And I'm looking at that. If I'm swing trading, I'm zooming out a little bit more. I may be looking at the hour chart, right, and seeing where is the trend, not just over the past hour, but hours, right? That'll be information on my screen. But if I'm thinking about long term, right, then I need to zoom out even more than that, right? I may look at what has happened each day, right, in a single candlestick, and then beyond that, I may look at, well, what has been happening in a snapshot of a week. And I'm talking about like one candle tells me what has happened over the course of a week. And people even zoom out farther than that. Position traders, we look at what has happened over the course of a month, right? And when I say over a month, I mean that every single candle provides 1 month of information. So in a chart, I could really be looking at like 5, 6, 7 years worth of data, all within like a small amount of candles. That is going to be important for people that are thinking about long-term perspective, right? So these dips right now will just look like a whole bunch of blimps on the screen long-term, right? Like you won't even be able to see them that much. That's why this idea of dollar cost averaging long-term really plays out, because what's a few thousand or a few $100s amongst friends? It won't matter if Bitcoin is at $100,000 and you purchase some at 44, another person purchased some at 42, and maybe another person purchased some at like 47, right? Like those numbers will be so small percentage wise that it won't even really, matter longer term. But in the short term, if we're trading, then yeah, those things would matter. But for people that are not looking to do that or take advantage of, the leverage traded dips and or peaks, is like zoom out, zoom out, zoom out, zoom out, zoom out, and then you'll be fine. But this is just an opportunity. When things are on sale, SALE, we do not SELL, we BUY, buy the dip, right? That's not financial advice for anybody that's listening. Use your own risk management and tolerance, but just know that all of these dips that we are seeing in this bull market will just look like blimps in the longer term perspective. This is Ryan. I'm done speaking.
Thank you for that, Ryan. I just have one more question, if you guys don't mind. I was having a conversation with a family member the other day, and he brought up a thought, and I didn't really have an answer. So I was wondering what you guys would think about this. He's a Bitcoin owner. I mean, he's invested in Bitcoin, and his only concern was like, what if the government decided to come up with their own cryptocurrency that also had a finite amount, had a cap, and decided to have their own version of Bitcoin. And since I guess most people might not fully understand what it means to like have sovereignty over your own wealth and the whole decentralized character of Bitcoin, would that kill Bitcoin?
I really don't see that as ever being a. Yeah, I really just don't see that as a possibility. I think that governments creating a new digital monetary supply that is fixed in nature runs counter to essentially all of their interest as well as their behavior for the last several millennia. I don't know if any other moderators have an opinion on that one.
I just say I 1000% agree with what you stated. Right, once we got off the gold standard and things are not backed by anything, it would it wouldn't do the government any justice right now, especially with a monetary policy to have a 2% inflation rate and stuff like that, right? Like, it was still, because once the cap is there, then what is really going to happen, right? Like, we're really moving more towards sound money, if you will, within the Bitcoin ecosystem. But it's just not in their best interest for them to not to be able to print on a whim how much ever money that they can to support all of these other systems that they have in place, right? So that's why I always impart that on people, right? Just because something is becoming digitized, if nothing has fundamentally changed about it, then it's just the same thing. I mean, technically, money is already digitized to a certain degree, right? Anytime you're using a debit card, anytime you're using Apple Pay, it's just that will they have it so that there is a public, ledger side to it, so that we can continue to see, oh yeah, they just pumped 500 billion into the debt market, or they just put another, 10 billion here. They just did this overnight, these overnight repos. Did they do this? Because there's a lot of stuff that's happening in the background that people are not 100% knowledgeable of, that is still somewhat, for people that are traders and all this other stuff like that, or in finance, you start to learn about it. But to the public, it's just like that. I didn't know that they were putting, hundreds of millions and billions of dollars to pump up this market. So if those things don't change, and it's just literally, oh, we have, no more paper or fiat, it's still fiat because it's still backed by the government.
But what if it's like literally a copy of Bitcoin where there is a finite amount of the currency?
Let me tell you why it's going to be difficult for them to do that. Because the government likes to have control over the money. Because what happens is if they stop printing more money and they allow it to be more of a sound money, and let's say a war breaks out, they're not going to have control to be able to add more to it. You have to add you have to get money from somewhere when things turn out like wars. Or even like in this situation where we have a pandemic. Like, what if we have a pandemic and we were just sitting on sound money as a government? Their hands would be tied and we would go into chaos. Everybody would be losing their jobs. We wouldn't be able to think about it. Like, governments use currency to control the people and also to try to control their narratives. It allows them to prop up everything. Imagine if we didn't have the 30% of money supply that they just printed. Imagine if we didn't have that. Imagine that. Imagine what would happen if everybody lost their job. There was no $600 a week extra unemployment. There was no PPP loans. There were no EIDL loans. What would happen then? Do y'all think this world would be in complete chaos? Like, our country would be in complete chaos. The world, I would say, because think how much we are a part of everything in the world. It would be in complete, utter chaos if they couldn't print money. You see what I'm saying, sister? Like, I don't see them turning to something like that, because that's the reason why they had the gold standard from the jump. And they took it out in 33 and completely eradicated in 71. So they've already seen, right? They've already had that. They don't want to go back to that because they saw how it tied their hands.
You scare me though, Lamar, because you're describing a scenario in which Bitcoin would be the future currency and we would be in complete chaos because we'd be in a pandemic and wouldn't have extra relief.
And here's the thing though, right? That's the whole thing, because our entire government is built on us propping up. You see what I'm saying? That's why we're trying to get us into it. Because if we're the ones that actually have that value, right, then we are not needing this complete chaos. That's why if you hear Bitcoin maxis talk, they always talk about a citadel. They always talk about a fortress to protect themselves. Because they understand, think about it, every great civilization has fallen at some point, and it's usually when the have-nots and the haves, their gap gets extremely big. And what winds up happening is the gap gets so large that the have-nots realize, hey, there's a whole lot more of us than there are you, and so then they start running up in castles and cutting off heads. We saw people storm the Capitol for less. What happens when there's bread lines and all that kind? And I'm not saying we going there, man. Like, the government has done a decent job of being able to prop it up, but that also means that they will continuously keep on printing money to keep propping it up. And if they keep printing money, the only reasonable place to actually store your value is in something like Bitcoin.
Yeah, because all that money printing by the governments as well, like money is also being printed by private banks, the same banks that have, done a disservice to the black community for forever. They can take all this money that they are printing, you can deposit it in the bank, and that same bank can loan out essentially 100% of that, not having to have any in reserves. And all they're doing is making an entry in a computer to say, all of a sudden, there's all this new money, and now Miss Nerlin owes it to us. Oh, and we're going to charge her interest as well. So not only have they inflated the money supply by the amount that they've loaned out on your deposits, they've also inflated it by the interest that you're charging you for that. Or every time they charge you $35 or $45 for an overdraft fee that is nothing more than a ledger entry in their computer.
Think about this. Debt in and of itself creates slavery. Why? Because if they give you $100 and you got to pay back 110, let's say no other money gets created. How do you come up with how do you come up with the extra 10? You're gonna keep working and working and working to try to get that extra 10. From what though? You see what I'm saying? That's the problem. And then when the banks add fees onto it that you're not getting anything from it, that's actually increasing your APR that you're normally paying on what you're doing. So the issue is that either we stick with this whole monetary system of slavery. Like I say, it's basically debt slavery from the top to the bottom. The banks are enslaved to the federal banks. The companies are enslaved to the banks. We are enslaved to the corporations. It just keeps going on and on and on because it's all built on top of debt. And it's a cascading slavery, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think the bank is actually targeting. They've known to be targeting predatory loans to the black and brown community, and Bitcoin is the only way to actually get out of that situation and that experience with decentralization and with Bitcoin.
Right, exactly.
But what happens when the black community doesn't get in on this Bitcoin,
well,
right?
Sister, we gotta try. Like that's
I know
what
we gotta try, but
Miss Nerlin,
we're talking about taking away. I'm totally for Bitcoin. Sorry, I'm gonna have to come back on. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. I know you're
many are few are chosen.
Hey, so here's
what's up?
Hey, Lamar.
Yeah, go ahead.
What's up, Lord? What's up, ABD family?
Oh, what's up? What's going on, Lord?
Hey, T-Mac, Ryan. Oh, what's up, Josh?
Hey, matter of fact, Lord, before you go on, we are at 2 hours on Facebook. So here, let me get this thing.
Do we have any questions on Facebook?
Yeah,
we got one question on Facebook, real quick, and then we got to close it down. He said he came into some.
Add on that.
Lord, hold on. We got an actual show running, man. That's why we gotta knock this off on Facebook. Yeah, we gonna talk. We gonna do what we normally do on Clubhouse. You feel me? But Troy said came into some disposable cash. Question: buy a whole Bitcoin, yay or nay? I want to get in for the long haul. So what do you all say to that?
If you have enough disposable cash to like drop in a whole Bitcoin, absolutely.
Go.
Naja on that.
Yes.
That is not the wrong answer.
Or here's the thing. I'm gonna say this. Or spread it out and dollar cost average like Warren Buffett would into an asset.
All right.
Because if the price keeps dropping, you see what I'm saying?
So there was a study that was done. Shitcoin.ninja is the one that published it, and I highly recommend that they go and read it. So basically their study was taking $10,000. Do you YOLO it in today, or do you DCA it $1,000 a month over the next 10 months or over the next year, however it looked out? Over 68% of the time, 73% of the time, if you adjust like the first few years of prices where it's just in like complete experimental phase, you win 68 to 73% of the time. And on the times that you do win, you win on average at a much better rate than if you were to just dollar cost average. Yes, DCA is the conservative approach here, but based on my reading of the question, you got $50,000 sitting around. do you just put it all in? I would say that the answer is yes, especially if you have a low time preference. You know, everybody within on their purchase in 4 years is in the profit. So, you know, if you want to keep holding out for 30,000, sure, absolutely. But we know that whole coiners are going to be rare in the future. And if you have the ability to secure that asset in the now, I personally would not be waiting. So that's just a me thing, not a financial recommendation.
Does dynamic dollar cost averaging, is that talked about in that particular article, Josh?
No, ma'am, it is not. But that's essentially what we're talking about here. You know, I would still set up a dollar cost average. You know, if you have that much in liquid assets you can afford to lose to put on a whole Bitcoin, I would assume and hope that you have the ability to, you know, put an extra $50 a week in, $50 a month in. But, you know, if you had a windfall, big sale in your business, you know, a large contract just closed, you know, that kind of gave things up and you didn't know where to put those assets in. Again, I personally would put all 50,000 into a Bitcoin today. You know, we're in a dip. We know that it was just testing 60 and then we're going back there, especially when you look at things like the bear trap that Zay mentioned earlier. You know, I'm a firm believer that we're in about that phase. You know, this whole Elon FUD, I think, is overblown. I think another big coordinating thing with the price action. You know, today's tax day in the U.S. You got a bunch of traders that are trying to that didn't file an extension, trying to pay their bills on time, and they needed liquidity. So, you know, this is what we're seeing for that. Whether it's coincidence or it's Elon, you know, playing chess with Asperger's, I don't know. You know, what we'll see.
I have a quick
question.
question.
Add a little bit of fiat history to add on to support Big Miles' point. Just a little quick one.
Yeah, hold on. Let me close this down. Let me close this down, Lord. I'm gonna close it down. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, this was the Genesis block here on Monday, May the 17th. We're so good having you here, man. We appreciate having you guys come and listen to our wonderful show this morning. Thank all the mods. Thank all the people with the great questions. Y'all need to get on Clubhouse because I know Mr. Lord is about to get busy. So if y'all not on Clubhouse right now, make sure you come on Clubhouse, jump in the Genesis block room as we have our overrun hour where we just have great communication and great conversation. So everybody out there in good Facebook and YouTube land, it's always real. It's always great. And look, Miss Shalonda, I know you put your stuff in. I saw it. I saw the BBB Genesis block, but we always pick one winner a week, and next week it may be you. So holler at you guys later. I appreciate it. Hashtag BBB Genesis block. And for everyone else, please go to blackbitcoinbillionaire.com so you can get more information about all the things that we are doing. Go ahead and join this amazingly dynamic network of amazing individuals that are talking about Bitcoin and what it can do for your life. All right, man. So, till next time, live love life.